Good afternoon, Ms. Kozlovsky. Please let me introduce briefly myself. My name is Hind. I'm a case manager with Wake County Human Services and Dress for Success delegate in Raleigh, North Carolina. I've been with Dress for Success for over 10 years. I don't think I've done so many things in my life without this wonderful organization. I'm delighted to meet you today. On behalf of every woman raising for success, allow me to extend a warm welcome to you and to express my sincere gratitude for giving me this opportunity to learn from you face to face. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me here. And I'm actually from North Carolina, so I know exactly where you are. And thank you so much for everything you're doing for Wake County.
That's great. I hope that one day when you visit North Carolina, I'll be able to meet you in person.
I absolutely will do that.
Thank you. What are the traits that you relied on to achieve your goals?
So I honestly think it's become a more important word these days. But I honestly think that resilience is one of the most important traits that you can have. You have to have this ability to constantly, with each setback, think about how can I move forward and how can I come back and how can I be stronger and how can I grow from what's happened. And I think that you certainly embody that and understand that. But I think it's critical for anyone who's really trying to achieve their goals to think about resilience. You hear stories all the time of people who either failed or had setbacks at different points in their life and figured out a way to overcome that and turn that into a learning that they can bring to the next attempt at something they're trying to do. And so I think resilience is number one. I think the other thing is to have positivity and to have a focus on what is your vision for your life and what is your goal, and positively moving towards that. Actually, that's a big part of bringing people along with you. The more positively you can approach your life, the more other people will actually understand what you're trying to achieve and come alongside you as well. So from a leadership perspective, I think resilience and positivity are two of the most critical things that you can do to truly inspire others, but frankly yourself as well.
That's true. Yeah. Resilience is very important and staying positive. That's the key for everything. I believe that too.
It is absolutely key for everything. And I think the important aspect is a lot of people will look at situations and say, well, this didn't go the way that I wanted it to, or this went wrong, or I messed this up. But more important than always being successful or always being right is actually always learning. And if you have no failures, then you aren't learning anything. And so I think that that's a big part of resilience to me, is instead of turning things into this is something that went wrong or this is a problem, it's actually this is a learning. This is a chance for education. This is a chance to figure out what I can change to do better or differently or what have you. And that's much more of a positive way to look at challenges in life rather than focusing on what went wrong. It's like, well, what did I learn from this?
So, like you're saying, it's okay to mess up and it's okay to.
I not only do I think it's okay to mess up, I prefer to be around people who have seen challenges and missteps because they're more real, they're more human, and I think they're stronger. So I think that the fear of being wrong or messing up is probably one of the biggest things that holds us back, because all of us are at some point. And if you don't admit it, then it's much harder to grow from it. So I think that is actually one of the most critical takeaways is, yeah, it's fine to occasionally mess up or fail.
Remember mistakes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. During your journey as a woman, did you ever find barrier? Did you ever somebody told you, or just you felt that someone women, just stay back. You're women, you cannot do that.
Well, not in exactly those words, but in something very different. So I think what you hear a lot is not just stay back, although I have, I've heard that once in a while. What I've heard more often is you should be more like a man.
Mm,
You should be stronger. You should be more direct. You should apologize. You should, take control of the room, etc. First of all, I've seen plenty of women take control of the room. I believe slightly differently, which is not necessarily that women should always try to emulate men in order to be successful. I think it's more important that we both meet in the middle, and that women take on some stronger traits, yes, but actually that men take on more feminine traits, and there's something in between. Just because men have tended to hold most of the executive positions doesn't necessarily mean their behavior was always the best suited for the job. That is a historical thing that has put them in that position. I think now we have a very interesting opportunity, especially as communication and emotional intelligence and being able to see things from multiple perspectives. Those have become more and more important traits in business, and those are often traits that are very inherent in women. And so I think part of what I'm excited about is the evolution of leadership with some of these feminine traits that actually may wind up being even more successful. Who knows? But I think those types of qualities tend to be more important now than they used to be.
Which advices can you give to women who are trying to climb the ladder, who are trying to be a great leader? And I'm pointing my fingers to myself. I feel like right now, I feel like I'm in the class. I'm learning so much from you. Which advices can you give me, or can you give every woman they looking for succeed?
Well, I think the first piece of advice that I would actually give is to realize that you already are a leader. Everything that you've already achieved and everything that you've already done and what you're doing for families in critical times of their lives, like that, you're already a leader. So advice number one is just keep doing it. I think the second piece is to truly be authentic to yourself. It's very easy when you're thinking about your aspirations and when you're thinking about where you want to be, to always try to say, well, maybe if I'm more like that, I can get there. Or maybe if I'm more like this, I can get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the most important aspect is there's always skills that we can learn, of course. But when it comes to truly achieving leadership, that's going to be some version of who you already are with those skills and experiences added to it. So I would say that my advice is to think through the things that you want to learn and the things that you want to do, but always think about the best parts of your personality that have taken you as far as you've already gotten.
Mm-hmm.
And how can those work alongside those skills to make you the unique leader that you will be,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to a vision of someone else that maybe isn't the same. It's not as natural.
Does it matter which position I'm in? I'm a case manager, Wake County, like I say. I'm not a mentor yet. I'm not a supervisor yet. Does that make any difference which position women are in?
Well, I think it makes a difference in that I think it's important that we're constantly looking at ways to elevate women into new roles. But I will say in the roles that I've had in leading companies for several years, I've seen leaders emerge in every role in the organization, every single one. And so regardless of what the title is or the role is, there's ways that you can lead from that position and make your voice heard and make your stance known. I mean, I think it's interesting, even in general, in the business world. It used to be that it was very much like you have a boss and then you have employees, and there's a very hierarchical way to think about the world. A lot of that is changing. There's still a boss, and you still have structures and organizational structures, but the best leaders now lead through influence, not through directive. And so the best leaders, it doesn't matter if someone reports to them or not, people want to do what that leader has a vision to put forward. And so that influence, that ability to get people to come along with you, can be resonant in any role or any title. It can be somebody who's very junior in the company that actually just has a passion and a drive and wants to move something forward that gets a lot of people to follow them, even if they're more senior than that person. So I do think that this concept of lift while you climb for women is important. Like for as women get higher and higher in organizations, you should be bringing women up with you. And we should always be expanding the roles available for women, but you can lead and you can influence from any position.
Okay. What can women bring to the table when it comes to leadership?
I think that there's a very unique quality across most women that leads to natural leadership, which is a concept of empathy. And I don't mean empathy as in always just being sensitive to others. I think that's one aspect, but I think it's an ability and a position to be able to put yourself into someone else's shoes, to be able to project and understand things a little bit more and listen more deeply in conversation and in process. And I think that level of empathy is part of what makes women such strong leaders, is because they just have that attunement that really helps them connect with other people and see things from their perspective.
This is wonderful. This is great.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
I was so excited because at some point when we can travel again, I can't wait to meet you in person. Because I come to Raleigh all the time normally.
So please.
Obviously not right now. So I'm so looking forward to meeting you in person.
If there is any way, I would love to meet you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.